rose pruning fundamentals today. Basically, there's a few things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the benefits of pruning, how that benefits your roses, and tools that are needed, when to prune, pruning step-by-step instructions, and pruning variations that can be done. So, pruning benefits, overall you get a better looking rose bush when you're done. By pruning out excess canes and crisscross canes and things, you get better disease prevention. Eliminates a lot of disease that you might get by your roses being too clustered together and with too many excess leaves or things. It encourages new and healthy growth, and that is one of the main reasons why we prune them, is to get those roses growing in the spring. And it encourages profuse blooming, so we get lots of blooms on our roses. We could shape the rose as needed. If we have one that has one really tall cane and we want to shape it up, make it look more uniform, we can do that too. When to prune? Well, when to prune depends on your hardiness zone. And so in Minnesota, we're usually zone 3 to 5 throughout Minnesota. With most vigorous rose pruning should take place in early spring, usually late May or late April, early May. And that's usually when we do it at the gardens. When we have an April that's nice and warm, otherwise it's in May. Some of the tools that we'll be needing when we prune. And I always have some kind of tub, usually like that. Not usually as small as the one I brought today, but I like to have a lopper for my big shrub roses, the bigger round canes. That don't work so good with this little bypass pruner. My bypass pruner is a bypass because of how the blade goes past the original one. Makes a really nice cut on the roses. We'll use this. This is a rose from my friend, so it needs a little TLC. So I'll just show you how I cut at an angle, get a nice angled cut. And that's what's great about the bypass. It doesn't pinch it. It makes a nice cut on your rose. And along with that, you always want to keep your loppers and your pruning shears nice and sharp. So I always have a sharpener handy with me to sharpen up my blade if I need to. So, and of course, use the blades have an angle kind of on the edge, so I always go with the angle on the edge of the blade as you go all the way along the sharpener. And one of the most important things, some good gloves. And if you're getting into an old shrub rose or something where you really have to reach in, the long gloves are really nice for protecting your arms. Otherwise, if I'm doing a shorter one, I'm not reaching in too much to get out old canes. I've been known to use these. They're quick, easy on, easy off. Protect a little bit of your arm. It's good for deadheading, things like that, where you don't have to get in too far into the rose when you're working. So, step-by-step instructions. And one of the first things that you do is look and see if there's any sucker growth coming up in your pots or on your bed. And as you can see, it's a sucker because it comes off the bud union of the other rose, and it's actually growing up off the other rose, which is not good for your rose. So it's best to try to clip that off under the ground. And you don't want that growing off your rootstock. Allow the grafted rose to receive the nutrients. Otherwise, the sucker, it's gonna take away the nutrients from the rose, and sometimes your rose will end up going to the sucker, and the grafted one will die out. Step 2, I always prune out dead, weak canes and branches. And canes that are smaller than a pencil's width should be removed. So pencil's width are larger canes, stronger canes you want to keep. Make sure you prune flush with it, and don't leave any stubs when you prune. This is actually roses at Whitney's, some shrub roses that Joan Anderson and I worked on cleaning up. And as you can see, they hadn't been pruned for a few years, as the before picture shows, and the after picture we've cleaned out a lot, and she's still working on it, but it's a major difference getting some of the dead out of there and thinning it out a little bit on that shrub. I think it was a John Cabot shrub. And number 3, remove anything that's damaged and diseased. So and that's a good reason why you should always wear your gloves. Joan forgot her gloves that day, and I didn't have an extra pair. So always wear your gloves or your hands will look like that. So if you have canes that die back part way, make sure that you prune down above the next bud into the green area, just to get rid of the dead part of the cane. And so your cut should always be made below the point of damage and at a 40-degree angle above an outward facing bud, as Joan is doing there. So. And step 4, look for those cross canes and branches that are going through the bush, and take those out, remove those out, because as you can see, cut them out where shown, because otherwise they're going to grow into your bush. They're going to, besides making it neater looking, it's not good to have your roses growing across into your bush and end up with a lot of congested air. Again, you're not letting it breathe, and you could have some disease problems, and you're just not going to have very nice looking results on your roses. And step 5, prune to open up the middle of the plant, which is also what happens when you take those cross canes out. It opens up the middle of the plant better. So here you're going to prune out a lot of excess in there. Get that open more, so you've actually got get a nice framework all the way around with your cane. So with an open center, you get better air circulation through the middle by removing all those inward growing canes and branches that we talked about on the last steps. And here is how you want to prune. And as you can see, we want that 45-degree angle, which is actually the far right up here. It's the 45-degree angle, and a 1/4 of an inch above an outward-facing bud. And this is quite blown up, but that is the correct one, which would be a 1/4 of an inch cut, versus the cut too high or cut too sharp, too low, which damages the bud when it's cut too sharp like that. So right one is on the correct side. So your final product, you see on the left photo that you've got an unpruned bush, lots of dead canes on the top, and needs a little cleaning up. And when it's pruned, you've got that nice open framework all the way around, good air circulation. And then on the far right, we've got a hybrid tea bush before pruning, and a hybrid tea after pruning. We've cut it back, we've opened up, taken out a lot of little less than pencil width little sticks that are in there, canes, and just eliminate a lot of excess branches to get a nice framework to start with for our branches to grow up nice and tall, and send up some good canes for blooming. Nice long stem blooms will get off of that. Then on the center we've got a before and after, where you can see what has actually been marked, what's actually been cut out on the pruning. See what you have after you've taken out a lot of those cross canes and taken off the dead tips that are on there. It opens up the air circulation really well for your rose. So pruning variations are based on the rose type. So hybrid teas, floribundas, and grandiflora roses, and Roseanne was talking about the various classes. Those you want to prune so that there are 3 or 4 of the healthiest and newest canes remaining on the plant. I will go as far as having 5 or 6 if it helps to shape the plant and doesn't add to cross canes or anything, but you just basically want a good framework on them. Healthy new canes. And then you prune the remaining canes out above an outward facing bud to a height of 12 to 18 inches is usually ideal if you've got that much growth left on your rose. Sometimes when there's a lot of winter damage, it might take them down, or winter might take them down a little lower than that. But you kind of work with what you've got. And miniatures, you want to prune, leaving up to 6 of the healthiest canes, and prune the remaining canes to half their height. Again, you know, it depends on what you've got after winter, how far the roses have died back, and what you've got to work with. Climbers, you want to remove dead and damaged canes, but you want to wait until after the first bloom for further pruning. And that's especially true if those are once blooming climbers, because if you prune before they bloom, you won't get any blooms on the once blooming. And shrub roses and old garden roses. And you take out weak, dead, and damaged canes, and then prune only to shape and control their size. Again, like I said, if you've got a shrub rose with one cane that, like my Morton Centennial every year would go one long cane up in the air, and the rest of it would be about half the height, you know. So I would always prune and shape it, make it look nicer for the bush. And these are sources that I used for this. This was put together by, as an extension Master Gardener project by myself and my former assistant at the Rose Garden, Helen Solorio, who was an intern Master Gardener at the time, and we both worked on this PowerPoint presentation. And now I'm going to do a little demonstration with my friend's rose here. Let's see what we can do to make this one look a little prettier. It's got a lot of last year's dead canes on it. Looking through it, I would first probably go after, I'm first going to go after a dead cane here. Take that out. Spin it around, and got a few more, including a dandelion, it looks like. All kinds of things. Do that. Dead canes. Take the lopper to that one. The other side, the thinner one out of the way first. That's the dead canes. One in the middle is dead. On the far side. Top off of that one's dead. Dandelion we're going to get rid of later. Let's keep using away at these dead canes. we're gonna get a little rain here. Make sure I've got them all cut off even, no stubs here. Look a little better here. Now, I'm going to do actually a little deadheading. How I would deadhead this one would be down to just above the first set of 5 leaves. Angle, so higher on the bud side, lower. This one. Take down to set of 5. Usually you would be pruning when you have a rose that's not just leafed out yet, usually. So I'm just doing deadheading and pruning here. Dead leaves I'm taking off. Looks a little better. Let's take that leaf off. It's got some dead things on it. And I'll clean up the pot later. But definitely a little better. Now we've got open air space in here. We've got a little piece we can take off there. A lot better with the TLC.
Deb, I wanted to ask you, when you're pruning old garden roses, particularly, with other kinds of shrubby plants, you can do what's called rejuvenation pruning, which is you really severely cut them back.
Some people do that.
Can you do that with an old garden rose? I'm wondering if I have.
If it's not, I guess if it's not once blooming, I don't know if I would do it on a once bloomer, but.
Mine are Portlands.
Portlands?
Yeah. They repeat.
They repeat, so I would think it would be fine.
I'm just wondering.
Yeah, I mean, you can always prune and shape, so if it's getting taller than you want, say it's rubbing against your house or something, and you want to clean it up, you certainly can do that. I would think that would get you a lot more blooms out of it too. You get some new growth and some new blooms.
Thank you.
So that's the end of my talk. Thank you.